what model or what framework of adult development do you resonate most with? Do you think is the most true or the most relevant specifically for peak performance? Which one or two maybe do you feel like you got into something?
We know if you're going to age successfully, there are gateways you have to pass through. There are certain things you have to do by age 30, by age 20, by 40, by 50, right? And what's interesting is some of these things correspond with models. Some of them don't. But for example, by age 30, if you're going to really thrive in the second half of your life, you need to have solved the crisis of identity, right? And this is Erikson's model, basically, right? And he said we develop through these crises with identity. The only thing that Erikson seems to have gotten wrong, or we live so long now that the timetable has completely changed. He put 12 to 18 as like, you're going to figure out, and I don't know any 18-year-olds, myself included, who had a clue who they were. But we know biologically that if you don't solve it by 30, you start to have real issues. And one of the big ones happens by 40. By 40, we have to solve the crisis of sort of what economists talk about as match fit or match quality. Just basically your vocation, your avocation has to match with your identity, with who you are in the world, your values, your strengths, all that stuff. Or to put it into the terms that Csikszentmihalyi would use and a lot of the humanists, you have to live with passion, purpose, and flow, right? So there's a bunch of different adult development models in there, as you can see. And by 50, this is an interesting one. You have to have forgiveness for self and other, right? If you don't put down those old grudges, everything after that sucks. And then it gets really sort of interesting. And this is a lot of the work that I have been involved in. Like, what do you do post 50? There are other moderators, but I want to stop there just because this is sort of the answer to your question, which is from a practical side, you can actually look at the data and say, oh, this person got this right. And then, by the way, a lot of the theories, they're maps. You know what I mean? It's like the big five, right? The big five personality profile. They use semantic analysis to get there. In other words, they started with the English language and they said, how many adjectives describe personality? And then they put them into categories and they come up with 5 basic categories that all of our descriptions of personality fit into. And then they went looking for these in people and tying them to genetics and, other things. And is it 100% accurate? Not at all. You know what I mean? It's a made up framework that helps us think through a puzzle. Daniel Kahneman gave us dual processing theory, system 1, system 2. Is that neurobiologically accurate? No, it's really not. But is it an incredibly useful metaphor to think with? Yes. And even Kahneman pointed that out. He's like, look, the neurobiology is going to be different, but from the point of view of the observer and categories that are useful to talk about, it's sort of like in psychedelic research, right? Somebody had to coin the phrase cosmic unity. Does it capture the experience?